2, 1.
Welcome to Made for More Living.
One small step for man.
With Johnny Jennings.
Kick the tires and light the fires, Big Daddy.
The fastest and most exciting hour of news, events, and real estate in Northern California.
And this is a fact that was proved.
Online at madeformorerealty.com.
Does everybody know what time it is?
Get ready. Here we go.
I was made for more.
Today on the show, we have Marguerite Crespillo. She's been doing real estate for over 30 years. Like, when did you get licensed?
1993.
93. And in that period, you've sold over 4,000 homes.
Crazy.
So my first question, just to get the ball rolling, because if you think back to 1993, this is pre-internet, right? So you didn't have all the tools that Johnny has at his disposal, AI and all these different technology tools. This is before the internet, right?
All right, so I'm going to really age myself. When I first started getting into real estate, first of all, our contracts were only 4 pages long. We had no disclosures. We did no inspections. We didn't do those back in the day, number one. The MLS was not on the computer yet. So we actually met once a week at the local association with books, and we would bring, they look like a big phone book, and we would bring our flyers to spread to the agents to be able to have access to what was coming on the market. So when I first started, that first year is when we were transitioning from MLS books to actually being on the computer, and it was a DOS prompt. And we had the dot matrix printers. They're like, right? So we would print out the listings of what came on the market, and that's how I got started. And I ended up selling 18 houses in my first 6 months. I said, I think I like this real estate gig.
Oh my gosh, that's really good.
Yeah.
How? So what do you attribute your success to out the gate? Yeah.
Well, in all transparency, to back a little bit, my husband was in the mortgage business, and interest rates had dropped to an all-time low of 8%. And we thought they were never going to get any lower. And he said, well, why don't you get your license? Because I was in the bar business. I was a cocktail waitress. He says, why don't you get your real estate license and you can do refis? Because refi mania was in full effect in like 1993 and 94. So I got my real estate license. I started doing loans. I hated loans, so God bless the people who do the mortgages out there. That was not for me. And I now had a second baby. My son Jake was born in February of 95. So I literally had him in a baby carrier, and I went to work for an REO broker at the time who was trying to set up his first database program on a computer. And I kind of had figured out some computer skills, so I would go in and I'd help him like set this database up on the computer. And his phones would ring off the hook, and I'd be like, Luigi, do you want me to answer the phone? He's like, yeah, answer the phone. I'm like, okay. Well, Luigi, they want to see properties. He's like, well, go show them properties. I'm like, okay. Like, I didn't even know what to do. And so I went out and started showing homes. We didn't have cell phones back then, so I'd drive to the house. I'd drive back. I go, they want to write an offer. And he goes, well, write an offer. I was like, I didn't know how to write an offer. Thank God the contracts were only 4 pages long, because I had to read them as I wrote it and fill it in, right?
Yeah.
And that's really how it started. I would just answer his phones because he had all these signs in the yard because he was selling REOs. And I was getting a ton of calls. And back then they had the program HUD homes you could buy for $500 down. So I ended up, I thought I was smart because I was young and stupid. And so I decided I'm going to go open my own brokerage. I'm not going to do this. So I went and opened my own brokerage.
What year was that?
96, January of 96.
Wow, so 93 you got licensed. 96 you're opening your own brokerage.
Yeah, not the smartest thing on the planet. But I opened my own brokerage, and I started learning about direct response marketing, which we've talked a little bit about. And I started creating these flyers that said, free list of HUD homes, $500 down. And back then we would have to, the list would get faxed to us every 3 weeks. I would take
fax every 3 weeks.
Every 3 weeks, I would cut and paste it create a little flyer for myself, create a flyer that said $500 down, HUD home. And I started getting people showing up at my office every 3 weeks to get the lists. And I would pass them out to, open houses and things like that. And I'd say, hey, the list comes out every 3 weeks. If you want access to this free list, come to my office or we'll mail it to you. So I started building this list and started selling a ton of HUD homes back in the day.
Wow. And how did you come up with that idea? The whole flyer, the list, all that?
So I right after I opened my brokerage, I got invited to a workshop, and it was by referral only with Joe Stump back in the day. And we would go there, and we would go to these weekend like retreats, and we would learn about marketing, how to market, right? And we had talked a little bit yesterday about Dean Jackson. Dean Jackson had a internet marketing weekend, and the internet was like just kind of a new thing, right?
It's like chat or AI right now.
It's like AI right now, and we're like, oh, this is amazing. And we had, we're just figuring out landing pages and squeeze pages and all this kind of stuff. And I created a website at that time called Placer County MLS. So everybody thought my page was the MLS. I ended up getting in a little tiff with MLS, but I won. But the fact is people thought it was my MLS. So they would sign up on there to get access to listings, and we would send them listings and these HUD reports. And my second year with my company sold 120 homes.
Holy moly.
Yeah, it was
Those are big numbers now,
insane.
let alone in the 90s.
It was pretty crazy. It was insane. The good news back then is we didn't have all the stuff we have to do now, in real estate transactions. But the bottom line is that I was getting people lining up at my door to get these lists. And then a big part of what I learned with by referral only was the importance of making sure that you're getting a referral. You're taking great care of your clients, of course, and getting referrals out of them. So that's how I just started stacking it. And, they still sell HUD homes. There aren't as many. A HUD home is effectively a home that has been taken back by the Department of HUD. So it's like a foreclosure. And they're very motivated. You can go to HUDhomestore.com and check them out, but you have to have an agent help you with it. But the contract for the HUD homes was one page, and it was literally fill in 4 blanks to get your offers accepted. But agents didn't want to think, oh, it's too complicated, HUD, and those houses are like agents would all poo-poo it all day long. I'm
really?
Like, okay. I was selling HUD homes left and right. It was literally a 1-page contract. And what's funny is to this day, HUD Home uses the exact same contract. It's a 1-page contract.
Hey, if it's not broken, right?
It's not broken. Yeah. So, and we used to have a key, an official HUD key that you had to get access to. And it wasn't our super, computerized keys that we have now. So very, very different. I mean, to be honest, though, the process in a lot of ways is still the same. You still need to help buyers and sellers get through the goal of buying and selling a home, right? Mm-hmm. But the structure of it was probably a bit simpler in some ways and more complicated in other ways.
Yeah, it sounds simpler in the sense of the paperwork, the disclosures, the inspections, but a book like once a week going, that sounds just
archaic.
Archaic. I just get stressed out thinking only once a week I'll get an update,
Or like when people talk about, phone books. I don't even know what a phone book is anymore, right? But it is archaic. And I mean, back then too, we had to go get the keys. So if I wanted to show one of your listings, I had to go to your office, get the key.
Gracious.
We would put people in our car and drive them around because they didn't have access to the list. Now consumers have access to so much information, which I think is great, right? Like they can search, and many of them are searching for months and years before they ever actually get an agent involved. They can look on Zillow and Realtor.com and all the IDX sites. But we didn't have that. We had the control, so to speak, of the list and the access to. And agents flipped out when that started changing, right? They didn't want to give up control.
When Zillow became a thing? Or?
This was long before Zillow. No, when the searches, when the internet came about and people could actually search online to find homes. Up till that point, you couldn't search online. You either saw a sign in the yard or you had an agent who had access to the list of homes that were available. We didn't have the internet.
Yeah. So that's a good question. Here's my next question, though. So that's 1993. Like, you've been doing this a long time, many different cycles. Like, how does the market now, what are you seeing in today's market versus, 2006, 1993, those types of markets?
Well, the process for consumers is dramatically different, right? They have so much more access to information. But I think the difference now, too, is because they have so much access to information, they're so overwhelmed and they don't even know what to do or where to go or how to handle things. And so I believe that the value of a really good, experienced, knowledgeable agent is worth its weight in gold now at this point, right? So if you're a buyer or seller and you said, my gosh, that was easy, my agent didn't hardly do anything, what that means is you had a master, because masters make things look easy.
Yep.
Right? Tiger Woods makes golf look easy, right? I can't even play miniature golf. I can barely hit the ball. But he makes it look easy. Masters make things look easy. And there's so much that we do behind the scenes now that a consumer never even sees. They never even see. There's so much negotiating and conversations and figuring things out and solving problems and doing stuff behind the scenes that they never see.
Yep.
And if they saw it, they would flip out, right? So it's become our job has become much more about managing fear and managing the process about what's going on. We don't really need to go find them houses anymore, right? Like back then, that was our job to find them a house. Now we don't really need to find them houses. Now we need to help navigate through the overwhelming mountains of paperwork and information and disclosures, and which is good. Information is power, but you also have to understand what that actually means and how it impacts you, or if it impacts you and your situation at all. I was talking to somebody yesterday and I'm like, the funniest thing I think is if you hit the lotto tomorrow and got like $20 million, would you go to your buddy Billy Bob who just got his securities license and have him invest your money?
Oh, that's a good question.
Not likely.
No.
So then why do you choose real estate agents who don't necessarily have the knowledge, experience, and background, and then you're concerned about what you might spend in the form of commissions or a fee paid to that agent? Because a great agent will save you a ton of money and will help you get into and accomplish your real estate goals.
So really what I'm hearing you say is back in the day it was more opening doors, that type of a service, whereas now it's like you're being a guide through the transaction. You're keeping them safe legally. You're making sure they're buying something that's good for their family, selling it for top dollar, negotiating, things like that. It's kind of been the industry's shift.
I think so. I mean, like I said, I think the process has become much more intensive thanks to attorneys, but also thanks to, people that have had bad situations happen, right? And so our job is hopefully to help avoid as many of those possible pitfalls that you can, right? Like just the fact of inspections. Like I think about the history of inspections in my career. When I first started in real estate, we didn't do inspections. It wasn't
like zero inspections?
Zero. Wasn't
wow.
even a thing. In fact, I remember the first time somebody came to me and said, you really probably should look at getting home inspections. I started this new business, home inspecting. I'm like, well, what, do you have license? No, they didn't have any licensing requirements. They didn't have anything. It was, Billy Bob, who's been in construction for a while, is going to come check out your house. Okay. So I was like, I'm like, what's the point in that? Until I had a HUD home and I had just spent some time with this guy who was doing inspections. I'm like, I think there might be some value to this, right? I said, hey, I'm going to talk to these clients about getting an inspection on this HUD home. And he goes, okay, let's try this whole thing out. We did. And here's the crazy thing. In that HUD home, it was a foreclosure effectively. The prior sellers had gone to the plug outlets, taken off the plug covers, pulled all the wires out of the house. True story. All the wires out of the home and put the plugs back on. And with HUD homes, they don't turn the utilities on. It's up to you to get the utilities turned on. So I'm like, okay. So the inspector comes out and he goes, man, nothing is working. Like not one plug is working. Something's not right. And he goes and he takes a plug cover off and he's like, there is no wires in this house. I'm like, you are kidding me right now.
Wow.
At that point, I was sold on inspections. And so I recommend it every single time on a home inspection. Don't bring your cousin, John out or your dad out to do it. Get a professional inspection that's going to give you a list from top to bottom. Now there's even more inspections that are going on, right? Now we have solar inspections. Now, another one that came up from a client, I'd never even heard of it or thought about it. She goes, hey, I want to get a sewer scope. And I was like, what? She goes, yeah, somebody was telling me that they had an issue with their house because technically the seller is only responsible for the sewer from the house to the street. And then the city is responsible at the street. Well, if you look in a lot of these older neighborhoods where they got these big trees in the front yard, right?
Yep.
Sure enough, she spent $99 at the time. I think it's like $200 now. $99, got a sewer scope, and the entire sewer line had collapsed and was filled with roots.
Oh my gosh.
$10,000 to replace it. Best money she spent. And I said from then on, I recommend it on almost every home now. I mean, the newer ones, not so much. But if you're buying in an older established neighborhood, all day long, get a sewer scope.
Yeah. So what are some common inspections that you typically recommend?
So home inspection for sure. And get good, reputable. Now they have licenses and certifications. They didn't used to have all that. Now they have all the licenses and certifications. Get somebody good that's been doing it a while and knowledgeable to do a complete home inspection top to bottom. Get any additional inspections that he might recommend as a result of that report. But roof report is a good one. A roof inspection is a good one. A pest inspection, which is effectively looking for wood destroying organisms and pests, dry rot,
Termites.
Beetles, termites, things like that. Cheap inspection, worth its money in gold.
Yep.
Now I'm recommending sewer scopes. If it has a pool, I recommend a pool inspection. If you're on country property, I'm doing a whole series right now on social media about country property. Well inspection, septic inspection, get those. And the newest one now is solar inspection. And I'm actually doing Tuesday Tune-Up today with Aaron Clark from Rockland Solar. He's not affiliated with any solar company, so he comes out and he actually will inspect your solar system, review your solar contract to see what the guarantees are. My personal situation, I've had solar 10 years. I had this guy come out and do an inspection. He goes, yeah, you have about 10 panels that are not even connected.
Oh,
I'm
my
like,
gosh.
You've got to be kidding me. And he goes, and you have a guarantee in your contract that says your solar system needs to be producing a certain amount of power, right? Come to find out it was falling short by, I don't know, something. I'm actually in the process of getting a rebate back from my solar company to the tune of over $5,000.
Wow.
Because I've had my system for 10 years. So, but I mean, with the cost of PG&E and the cost of electricity.
And do you still have the big EV vehicle?
I don't. My Hummer, yeah. No,
Yeah.
GM bought it back on the lemon law. But I don't. But the fact is I have 88 solar panels on my house. I have a big house, but I was getting a true-up bill to $9,000 a year. It was insanity. I'm like, something is wrong.
Yeah.
And PG&E's like, oh, you got to talk to Solar, and Tesla's like, oh, you got to talk to PG&E. It was like this battle back and forth.
Yeah.
So I had this guy come out and inspect my solar, and he was amazing. So, I recommend getting any inspections possible. Here's why. I would rather know up front on the home what the issues are so that you can be prepared to deal with that when you purchase the home than to find out all this stuff after the fact, right? And then it becomes the money pit. Like, know what you're buying, know what you're going into. And as long as you know and it's been disclosed to you and you're aware and you've got the information, do whatever you want. Some people will make a big deal out of things. Other people won't care about it. Like, I have a home inspection right now and things came up on it that were electrical. My buyer is an electrician. He doesn't care, right? But if I'm buying a home, my husband is not a handyman. He's a good businessman, not a good handyman. Like, I need all that stuff taken care of, right?
Yeah.
So it depends on your situation and what kind of work you may need to do. But knowledge is power. The more you know,
It can't hurt you.
It cannot hurt you.
And they're relatively
The worst-
affordable too.
Yeah, let's say you spend $1,000 on inspections, total inspections. Best money you'll spend. And if it's too much and you can't, and your agent is not able to negotiate repairs and they're like, oh my goodness, the heat and air is blown, then move on. Go find another house, right? Or find a way to negotiate those things to be taken care of for you.
I agree. And when we come back, I want to ask you the question about we just said buyers should definitely get the inspections if they haven't been provided. But when we come back, let's discuss whether or not sellers should get those inspections up front.
All right.
So I don't know if you're anything like me, but it's hard for me to ask for help, whether it's with a project or something I'm doing. I find it uncomfortable to be a burden on someone, even though I know I'm really not. I don't know. It's just something about me. I like to do things myself. I don't like to ask for help. Even though if you're anything like me, we know realistically it's better when we have help. Things run smoother, things get done easier. And that's why it's so interesting when you have someone like Johnny Jennings and the team at Made for More Realty. That's what they're all about. They're all about helping you every step of the process so things run smoother and more successfully when it comes to selling your home. So if you're like me and you don't like to lean on someone for help, just make it easier on yourself. Reach out to Johnny Jennings and his team at Made for More Realty. There's a reason why so many people have been giving him rave reviews, over 1,000 5-star Google reviews. They were voted #1 team in Roseville. It's because they are there to help. And it's so appreciated in the fact that they sell homes faster and for more money. So just Google Johnny Jennings with Made for More Realty and get more for your home.
This is Made for More Living with Johnny Jennings. Online at madeformorerealty.com.
So we're back with Marguerite Crespillo, licensed since 93, over 4,000 houses sold. And she was just sharing some info about what she would do if she, or what she does with her buyers when they're purchasing a property. But now let's talk about sellers. Like, as far as the home inspections go, do you think there's an advantage to getting those inspections done up front, or should they let the buyers do it?
So it's interesting. It seems to be kind of market to market or area, right? So it seems like historically the Bay Area, down in San Francisco and those areas, have historically always gotten the sellers to do inspections up front.
Yep.
Here in Northern California, it's not been so common. I'm starting to see over the last few years the advantage to doing some of those inspections up front, because the main reason they did that in the Bay Area was because everything was over asking, multiple offers, right? And they don't want to negotiate repairs in the middle of a contract. So they get it all cleared out of the gate. Mm-hmm. So there's some significant advantages to that, is to know when you're selling, because one of the biggest hurdles that comes up a lot from the seller side is once the buyer gets all their inspections, now they come back and ask for a whole bunch of money in credits or a whole bunch of repairs that the seller wasn't prepared for in the purchase price and in selling their home. So I really do think there's significant advantage to having those inspections done up front. Again, so you as a seller, the more you know what's come up in your house and you know what things are there. And you can get some of those things taken care of maybe that might be deal breakers or might be a problem or might be something that could cause you to get less for your money if it becomes aware or known by the buyer, right?
So what do you tell the seller who says, hey, I don't want to spend the money on that. I don't want to spend $1,000 or whatever it is, $1,500 for all these inspections. We'll just have the buyer pay for it and deal with it then.
What I would say is be prepared for the fact that the buyer is likely going to come back and ask for potentially several $1,000s in inspections or information as a result of the inspections that they do. Would you rather find that out later, or would you rather know that ahead of time? Mm-hmm. Because if you know it ahead of time, you can negotiate that as part of your initial negotiating, or you can get those things taken care of. Maybe your uncle is an electrician and he can take care of all the electrical items so that you're not having to come up with $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 in the middle of a transaction. Because the hard part is when you first sell your home, you have an idea of how much money you're going to get. Mm-hmm. And they've already spent it.
Yep.
They've already gone and bought another house. Yep. They've already gone and paid off their bills. They've bought a new car. Whatever they've done with it, they've done with it. But now here we are halfway in the middle of the transaction, and you're getting sideswiped with this cost and expense. I mean, this happened recently on a transaction where they did get the home inspection done, but they didn't want to get all the other inspections done. There was a pool inspection, a solar, a bunch of stuff. The buyers in the middle of the deal came back and asked for $80,000 in repairs.
Oh my gosh, 80
grand.
Is this? Am I familiar with this house? Okay.
Yeah, and so the seller was flaming mad. Right? Extremely pissed. And I get it. I understand.
Because they're saying my house is perfect. There's not $80,000. There's
not $80,000 worth. I said, I totally get that. I said, so let's go back and review. When we originally met, we talked about doing a home inspection, plus we talked about doing some additional things. We opted only to do the home inspection. We didn't opt to do all the other inspections. And now this gal's coming back with that. So we were able to negotiate it, and it worked out and made sense. But and it's all relative into what you're expecting. if you know that these things are going to need to be done on your home, do you want to take care of that up front or do you want to leave it for the buyer?
Yeah.
We're in a different market right now. We're not in the market that we were 2 years ago where we were getting, multiple offers and you could pretty much call and, write your own ticket.
Mm-hmm.
Buyers have a lot more choices right now. And I saw of the 4 transactions that I closed in November, all of them had buyer requested additional repairs and credits. And the sellers took them.
They didn't negotiate, or
they negotiated, yes.
Okay.
But every single one of them had them. Like none of them were able to say no, we're doing nothing, buy it or no. That didn't work out. They were going to walk.
especially if they're health or safety. Like if buyer 1 wants health or safety things handled, buyer 2 is going to want the same issues resolved or credit.
Well, the truth is if you get all these inspections done on your home and the buyer walks, you still have to disclose those to the next buyer.
Yep.
So you're going to have to resolve them one way or another, right?
Correct.
And ideally, buyers want homes that are done and fixed and taken care of. They don't want to walk in to a hot mess, and they don't want to walk into the unknowns.
Mm-hmm.
That's the biggest thing. It's not the knowns, it's the unknowns. It's, it looks like there's a leak in the shower, and then you find out the entire shower has to be ripped out, right? And all the tile redone, and now you have a $10,000 or $15,000 expense versus a few $100 fix.
And it's a 2-bedroom or bathroom house, and now everybody's sharing one bathroom while the one it's a huge mess. It could have been avoided.
Yeah, and it's expensive to get work done right now. It's hard to get contractors out there. Like I wouldn't want to deal with any of that right now in the current environment. And buyers just don't want to deal with it. And a lot of buyers that are buying homes right now, it's taking everything they have to buy the home.
Yes.
So they don't have a whole lot of extra resources to do all these necessary improvements. It's one thing if it just needs, carpet and paint or floor, some cosmetic stuff. It's another thing if it's like things you got to like rip out tile and redo plumbing and redo electrical and,
Yeah, and what you were saying too, though, is that buyers have more options now. So,
they do.
So if you're not willing to make those repairs, then there might be a seller who is. And so as we look into 2026, what are you telling your buyers? Like, what are some things they should absolutely not do heading into this if they're looking to buy?
Well, I think that buyers right now are getting a little bit too stressed out about rates and all these different things. And the bottom line is, rarely do you ever lose in real estate unless life forces you to sell. Okay? So I would encourage people to buy. Like when I bought my first home at $83,000, I thought it was so expensive we could barely afford it. And then when we moved into our next home that we live in now, and I remember getting cardboard boxes and putting them in the corner and covering them with tablecloths because I couldn't afford furniture. So get into something that you're comfortable with and you can afford. The only way you'll lose is if life forces you to sell. Death, divorce, job loss, things like that. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, if the market goes down, you ride it out until, as long as you're comfortable with the payment. So I would encourage people to still get out there and buy something that you're comfortable with, that you can afford. Is it going to be your dream house? No, but none of us started there. My first little house was 900 square feet, and
wow.
It was a disaster zone. I remember, doing all this little stuff to paint. Now I live in the home that I love, but I also lived there for 28 years before I could afford to remodel it, Mm-hmm. So get something. You get a place to start, knowing that the average homeowner lives in their home 5 to 7 years, okay? And that might be stretching out a little bit more now. Maybe you'll live there a little longer. But get into something, because I guarantee you rents are going to continue to rise.
Yep. Prices.
And you can't control the rent, but you can control your mortgage payment, right? And people get caught up on the interest rates. I bought my first house at 10%. I was happy to get it. And you can always pay extra. Go online and go to a little amortization calculator and say, if I pay an extra $100 a month, how can I reduce my interest rate on my home? You're not going to reduce the actual rate, but you're going to reduce the amount of interest you pay on your home.
Correct.
So, you know what? Get into something. Get into something that you're comfortable with. We've been hearing nonstop every single year since I began in real estate, the market's going to crash next year. The market's going to crash next year. The market's going to crash next year.
Eventually they're right, but very rarely.
They really haven't even been right yet.
Really?
I think all the people who said that they knew the market was going to crash in 2008, they're lying. They didn't know. 2020 hindsight, they're telling the truth. Oh, yeah, I knew it was going to crash. Well, you know now after the fact, but you didn't know ahead of time, right? So even if the market crashes, as long as the payment is comfortable for you, you're going to have a place to live. As long as you can continue to make the mortgage payment. You'll only lose if you have to sell it.
Yeah.
It's the only time you lose.
So that's your advice to buyers is buy. If you're on the fence, just buy the property. Again, make sure the payment's comfortable, and then just hold on and wait it out.
Yeah, don't push the limit. Buy what is comfortable. It might not be your dream home.
Yeah.
Might need a few little updates or upgrades that you can do as you are able to save money. Live below your means if at all possible, right? Maybe cut back on Starbucks or going out to dinner. Those are things that you can do. You can afford to buy a home. Just sit down and get with a reputable lender, go through some different payment scenarios, and get into a home that you can afford. Don't try to keep up with the Joneses. It's not going to be your dream home, but get into something that you can live with, and that can be a move-up home to get you to your eventual goal of your dream home.
That first home is the launching pad. Got it. And so if somebody's looking to sell a property, what's the biggest mistake you're seeing sellers make right now?
Overpricing it.
Oh, I love this. Yeah.
Overpricing it. They think that because their house has ceiling fans, it's worth $10,000 more. Or they think that, well, my buddy Billy Bob sold his house for X amount of dollars, and they don't really know the details, first of all, because their buddy Billy Bob is never telling the truth. He's not saying, I sold it for $500,000, but I also gave a $10,000 seller credit, or things like that. They don't say his house is 300 square feet smaller than yours. Like, go to an agent and legitimately look. Don't even trust Zillow, right?
Yeah.
You can go to Zillow to get yourself a range, but then sit down with a knowledgeable, experienced agent and go through the comparables to determine and listen to them. Because I can tell you that every home that I have sold in the last year where they overpriced it, the home sat and sat and sat and sat on the market. And then by the time you come to reality, to the price that we originally told you, it's already gone beyond that.
Yeah, it's dropped below.
It's dropped below. So you're chasing the market down. So you're better off pricing your home under a little bit with the hope that you'll at least get an offer right away and get it sold. But what is that time on market costing you? In one particular client, it cost them $75,000. Had they listened to me in the beginning, they would have gotten the price that we talked about. Instead, they waited 9 months, pulled the house off the market, spent $30,000 in repairs, had to put it back on the market lower than I had told them about before, and it finally sold.
So for people who are saying, I don't want to give the house away, that's what I'm constantly hearing. I don't want to give the house away.
So value is what a buyer is willing to pay. So you don't want to give your home away, but you also, I look at it this way. You have a car that you want to sell. Let's say it's a Honda Accord, and Kelley Blue Book says your Honda Accord's worth $10,000. Can you sell that Honda Accord for $15,000? Not likely. Now, if you price that Honda Accord maybe at $8,000, guess what? You might get 2 or 3 people who are interested in buying it, which might hopefully drive the price up a little bit. But the truth is your car will sit there for how long when it's overpriced?
Forever until it drops to the
Forever
right
until it's overpriced. And my question to you would be, if you saw a Honda Accord for $15,000 that was worth $10,000, would you buy it? No. People are all dreaming of these Bay Area buyers who they think are stupid, that have plenty of cash and are going to come up and just write you a check for whatever. You just name your number, I'll write it, right? That market is not here. And the reality is Bay Area buyers are no different. They're smart. They're going to look and see what the value is. They're looking at lots of homes out there. So price your home competitively. Another option is to go to all the online sites. Go to Realtor.com, go to Zillow, go to Homes.com. Look and see what all of them say. And you're going to see a discrepancy in what they say. Then sit down and have your agent pull up the actual comparables. Because one thing that people don't realize about Zillow, if you actually go look at the comparables that Zillow gives you, they can be up to a year old. Up to 1 year old.
Yeah, that's
Was the market
history.
different a year ago? The market was different yesterday. So it's not really accurate data. And it works fine in some of the subdivision areas, right? All the cookie cutter homes
with lots of recent sales. Yeah.
But, like my house, I live out in the country and I live 5 minutes from Cataverdera. So they always pull from the golf course and I don't live on the golf course.
Mm-hmm.
So my values are not at all what they say.
Correct.
So, honestly, real estate agents, especially one with experience who's been doing this, that you could have a in-depth and research the agent, check them out. Don't just go with somebody who just got their license. And no disrespect to the new ones. We all learned at some point. But the truth is, do you want to be the learning experience for them? Or do you want somebody who's going to really, and listen to what they say. They say, oh, well, you're just trying to sell my home. Well, yes, I'm trying to sell your home. Well, you make more money if it sells more. I make money when it sells. I only get paid on results.
Yep.
I don't make money for dreamers. I only get paid on results, which means if I don't accomplish the goal of helping you get your home sold, I don't get paid. All the time, the money, the energy, the resources that I've put into your home, out the window.
Correct.
So I am motivated to make sure that your home is going to sell at a good price and sell because I also want the referrals from you.
That's a good point.
It's the most important thing.
Because a lot of times sellers they express concern. Hey, I don't want to give the home away. I don't want to underprice the home and have left money on the table. It feels like maybe you're just in this for a quick sale. Like I'm just a number to you. But how you approach it is, well, I want to earn not only this sale, but I want to get referrals from you. I want to do such a good job that you feel compelled to tell your friends and family members about me. And that totally changes the perspective.
And you genuinely cannot undersell a home unless you sell it off market.
Yep.
Okay. So if you put a home on the market and it's priced low, people are going to see it and you're going to get multiple offers in most situations, which is going to drive it to market value, what buyers are willing to pay. The only time that really works is if it's sold off market. Like if an agent comes to you and says, oh, I have a buddy, Bob, he says he'll pay cash for it. And, you're not going to get the total amount, but, it's a quick sale. And we get in that situation. Yeah, I think you're leaving money on the table. Mm-hmm. And that's where one of the companies out there is trying to promote off market listings, not promoting them. I'm not a believer of that. I believe even if your house, there are certain situations, family situations, things like that. But for the most part, put your home on the market, expose it to as many people as possible. Because there are 4 things that sell a home: price, condition, location, and marketing, period. So the condition is the condition which you can improve and make it to look the best it can. The location is the location. If it backs up to railroad tracks or freeway, you're going to get less for your house than if it sits on a lake or, has views. Mm-hmm. So condition, location, marketing means what we're going to do to market your home. Now homes are marketed on millions of websites all over the world. So if it's in the MLS, it's getting syndicated all over the world. And you want to have an agent who's good at marketing. The last one is price. If those 3 things are not selling your home, it's price. Your home is not priced right. And that's where you're going to need to drop the price to get it to a place that people are going to be willing to look at it.
I think, is it Pat Hyben? Is that an old name, coach? Mm-hmm. So I learned from him years ago. He's like, price and condition. So either we improve the condition or we adjust the price. So you can do these things, remodel the kitchen, the bathrooms, put in a pool. There's certain things that you can do to change the value. So you can either improve the condition or you can adjust the price. Which would you prefer to do? Because when price and condition align, that's when the home sells.
Right.
And I love that.
And the sad thing is that so many, I think this is funny. So you get a buyer, they go into the house and they have this list of all the things they want to do to fix the home up, right? And ironically, they do none of them until right before they sell the home.
Yes.
And then they do all this stuff that they'd been dreaming about. I'm like, you never even got to enjoy all that money that you're doing, right? And they do all this stuff. And then, of course, the next buyer comes in and has their whole new list of all the stuff they want to do. So, do what you can do. Make the home the best place for you while you live there. And then listen to the agents that are giving you the advice and the counsel of what is the best way to get that home sold reasonably.
Yeah, I had a gentleman call me. This is happening. This has probably happened to you so much over your career, Marguerite. So I'm curious to hear how you kind of handle it. But I'm getting more and more people calling me saying, hey, I heard you on the radio. I saw the billboard. So-and-so recommended I contact you. I'm listed with an agent, but the house isn't selling. And so what I tend to do in those conversations is I say, okay, let me look at the listing. I look it up, And I'm like, oh my gosh, your agent did this right. They did this right. They did this right. They're doing a great job. It looks like I'm thinking to myself, I'm just going to help this agent out. You need to adjust the price. Yeah. That's what they keep telling me. And so if you've hired this person, you should trust them. It blows my mind that you're going to hire this person to be your guide for whatever reason, whether it's because it's a family member, whether you saw their Google reviews, whether they've sold a lot of homes in your neighborhood. You've hired this person, but you're not going to trust them. What's the point in hiring them?
Well, it's interesting because I do see that a lot. And, a big part of it is the upfront conversation as agents we need to be having with them. And we need to have exactly that conversation. Look, I'm here to help you accomplish your goal. I can only help you if you're willing to accept my help and my advice, right? Otherwise, we're wasting everybody's time. And it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to put it out there. We can even test the market, and guess what's going to happen? Your house is going to sit on the market for 30, 60, 90 days with nobody showing it, no one even coming through. And they're like, well, you can hold the house open. Sure, I can hold the house open all week, every week. And who's going to come through? Your nosy neighbors first, right? Are all going to come through. And then nobody's going to come through. Or people are going to come through curious and go, oh, yeah, it's overpriced. Oh, yeah, the house down the street just sold for this. Or, so honestly, price, I know that people would love to get more. They would love to get what was happening 2 years ago in the market. But that train has passed, right? And what's it keeping you from doing is the bigger question. Because if you're holding off on selling your home for the price that it's that means you're also not getting the home that you want. You're also making mortgage payments on a home that you don't want to be in, right? When you could have sold that home and maybe you end up getting the home that you want to buy for less as well. So it's a wash, right?
That's a great point.
Those are things to think about.
So for people who are selling their homes right now, it's the winter season. I'm sure there's a lot of fear and uncertainty. Hey, should my home be on the market? Is this the best time to list a house? Is this appropriate? What would you say to those homeowners? I
will tell you my exact scenario that just happened this last weekend. I took buyers out who they just got married a few weeks ago. They were going to wait till spring, but they're seeing all these homes on the market right now. We went out this last weekend, looked at 9 homes. At the end of the day, 3 of those were already pending sale.
Wow.
Because there's not a whole lot on the market.
Yeah.
We ended up writing an offer on one, already had another offer on it, got in a multiple offer situation. That one didn't work out. Went to another one, had been on the market. It was a holiday weekend, so the agent was like, I don't know if we're going to get much traction. Called him yesterday. He goes, we've gotten 3 offers. So keep in mind that the people who are selling in December are serious. The people who are looking in December are serious. Like, they're not looky-loos. They're ready to move. They're ready to get something. These people want to close by the end of the year. We're trying to do a 21-day escrow.
Yep.
So I don't think my December has historically always been one of my busiest months for some reason.
July, I think most closings in July and December.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. And so if you're serious about selling your home, right now there's not as much inventory, which means you got a lot more eyes that are able to look at your home than putting it on the market in March.
Motivated eyes.
Yep. 100%.
Wonderful. Well, Marguerite, I've got to have you back on the show. This was not long enough. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Absolutely. This has been fun. Thank you so much for having me.
Welcome.
So you've heard us mention numerous times about how the team at Made for More Realty, Johnny Jennings, have over 1,000 5-star Google reviews. Well, we thought we'd take a moment and read a couple of them. This is from Ashley. She said she had a wonderful experience working with Haley, who's part of the Made for More team. She was incredibly patient, always available, and truly guided us through every step of the process. Even when unexpected issues came up, her professionalism and care made what could have been a stressful experience feel smooth and supported. We're so grateful for her help and couldn't recommend her more highly. Again, that was Ashley talking about Haley, who's part of the team at Made for More Realty. This one's from Jake. Working with Johnny Jennings was nothing but a great experience. Johnny is a professional who places an emphasis on educating clients on all aspects of the process of purchasing a home. I'd highly recommend working with him, and I'd also encourage following him on social media just for the sake of learning. Again, that was from Jake, just one of the many 5-star Google reviews that you can go check out yourself. Just Google Johnny Jennings with Made for More Realty. This one's from Paul. He says about Johnny Jennings and the team at Made for More Realty. He's very knowledgeable and patient with all of my questions. Overall, I had a pleasant experience working with him and would recommend him to other people. That, again, is just some of the over 1,000 5-star Google reviews, which you can find just by Googling Johnny Jennings and Made for More Realty. So just because it's winter here in Sacramento, it's the holidays, doesn't mean you need to go into hibernation when it comes to selling your home. You can sell your home by the new year with the help of Johnny Jennings and his team at Made for More Realty. In fact, they guarantee to give you at least 3 cash offers on your home in as-is condition. No repairs, no open houses, no staging. Simple, easy, fast. Get the most money for your home in the fastest amount of time. Go check out those reviews and just Google Johnny Jennings with Made for More Realty and get more for your home.
This is Made for More Living with Johnny Jennings. Online at madeformorerealty.com.
Man, I was so thankful that Marguerite took the time to drive down here. And
oh
do
my
that.
goodness. She's been in this business for a long time.
Almost as long as I've been sucking air.
To think about the industry prior to computers and the internet is just mind blowing.
Yeah.
You know, because you do so much of the business now is so dependent on not only computers and technology and the internet, but now artificial intelligence. And there's just so much going on. And it's just crazy to think, okay, how would I do this without a computer?
It is interesting to think about. It's also cool to hear her perspective on how the role of the real estate agent has transitioned over the last 30 plus years.
Yeah, for sure.
Because there's a lot of talk, hey, is the AI going to replace real estate agents? Is technology going to do away with that aspect of the industry? But what's interesting is recent reports are showing more and more people are, one, using more realtors than never before in history. And then what's interesting too is we are starting to hear the compensation is increasing. For so many years, people thought it was going to compress, but with recent law changes and recent, just market dynamics, we're seeing those fees increase. And so more people are using agents and they're seeing a greater value. That's why they're paying them more. They're seeing a greater value what their agent brings to the table.
Right, the good ones, right.
Yep.
Finding the quality.
Yep. So if you are thinking about, like, there's so many people right now I know that are stressed out thinking, my house is on the market. Why is it not selling? Well, one, I would go back to your agent and have an honest conversation about price. Literally, before we came on the radio show, I had another agent in my office. She said, Johnny, can you analyze this house? Why is this house not selling? She's like, we started here. We've dropped it. They dropped it $50,000. I looked it up on the MLS. We pulled up the comps. 2 other homes within this, not even like the same neighborhood, like around the corner from this home, sold for, $20,000 and $25,000 less than what they're currently listed at. So in the seller's mind, they'll have to come down $75,000 to get in line with the market. But really, they haven't lost anything. They haven't taken any money out of their pockets and had to shell out that $75,000.
Yeah.
They're just now coming in line to where the market is. So if your house is sitting on the market, like Marguerite said, if it's based on the condition, the location, the marketing, well, then all you really have left is price. And so have an honest conversation with your real estate agent. If you don't have a real estate agent, if you aren't actively listed and you're wanting to have an honest conversation about what your home can fetch in today's market, contact me. Just go to madeformorerealty.com. I'll come out. I'll meet with you. It's a non-salesy conversation because we have to decide a couple different things. One, do you want to work with me, right, if it makes sense? And 2, do I want to work with you? Life's too short, they say, to drink bad wine. Life is too short to work with people who aren't, a good fit for each other.
Yeah, makes sense.
And so we'll have that honest conversation.
And for some folks, they don't want to, and we talk about this all the time, especially in your commercials, that if there's homeowners who maybe they're retired or maybe they have a family member who's not feeling well and they don't want to do staging and open houses and, all of that stuff. And maybe there's some repairs that need to be done and they just want something simple and easy. You have a program for that as well.
Yep. We can certainly help you with all of that.
Yeah.
So it just depends on how little or how much you want to be involved. Some people are more hands-on. They want to be out there swinging the hammer. They want to be doing all the upgrades and updating. Again, I just want to set set the tone, you don't have to do those
Right.
repairs, right? If
And
you
there's
want to,
it's crazy how many people I talk to who think that way. The home has to be perfect in order for me to sell it. And so they get overwhelmed and they get
Yep.
stressed out and they get paralyzed and they don't do anything. They say, well, and they just keep putting it off when they could, they just need the facts.
Yep. Just have us out. We'll have an honest conversation about what to do, what not to do, what's going to make you the most amount of money. It kills me when I go out and people say, hey, I did this, this, and this. And so the home's worth a whole lot more now, right? And I'm like, no.
Do you realize we buried our puppy in the backyard? That in itself is worth an incredible amount of money, right?
It's yeah. What is it?
There's so much emotion into their home. They sweat and blood into that. And so they think there's some kind of real financial value to that to someone who's going to buy it. And there's not.
So I wasn't even going to talk about this, but this is a really good point. If you are doing maintenance or repairs on the property, that is just maintaining the value.
Right.
So, for example, there was this house we had listed for a while in Rockland. They had done zero maintenance, zero repairs over the 30 years they lived there. But they still wanted market value. The roof was shot, the siding was shot, the foundation was on a subfloor. It needed significant repairs. So they saved the money. The money, didn't go out in terms of repairs. They saved the money by not making those repairs. But the bill always comes due. So now when you sell the house, just because you didn't make the repairs, and you were fine with that, the next buyer is probably going to want those repairs made. So you've already saved the money. You're going to have to adjust your pricing accordingly. Now, if you're making the repairs as you go along, you're treading water. Okay, so you're not necessarily getting ahead. I replaced the AC. The AC went out last summer. Okay, that's a maintenance item. That's not improving the condition of the home.
Right.
Most buyers, if not all of them, want a working AC. They want a working furnace. They want a hot water heater. You didn't increase it by the cost of the hot water heater. Now, where you start getting into making improvements to the home, this isn't maintenance. This isn't fixing a leany fence, right? That's where you start increasing the value of the property. So, hey, we remodeled the kitchen. We remodeled the bathrooms.
Right.
The flooring was bad. Now we put in upgraded flooring. It didn't have RV parking. Now it does. These are things that are improving the home's value, not just maintaining the home's value. So when you're thinking about what you're going to do to the property, look at it through those lenses. Is it maintaining the home's value or is it improving it?
Right.
A new roof is not going to increase your home's value by $30,000. It might cost you $30,000, but it's not going to improve the value by $30,000. Homes need roofs.
Right.
Makes sense? So if you're curious, if you want to know what to focus on, what not to focus on, go to madeformorerealty.com and we'd be honored to come out and meet with you in person.